Hello and welcome back again here downstairs at the Esomar TV studio, where for the next 30 minutes we're going to talk about the client side of research. Actually, we're going to celebrate the client side of research. After that, you must stay tuned because then we have a segment, 15 minutes, where in this studio the Esomar Best Exhibitor Award and the Esomar Best Young Researcher Award will be presented right here by Finn Raben and Laurent Flores, the president of Esomar. After that, if you look at your schedule, we still have about 45 to 30 minutes left, 30 to 45 I should say, where we will talk about the future of research. So lots to come, many different guests aligned. And I'm currently joined by my first guest, who might look familiar to you, because if you were watching yesterday on Channel 1, you've seen Frank van der Diest. You're the Chief Commercial Officer of Millward Brown Vermeer.
Correct.
And you were presenting here about Insights 2020.
Yes.
Can you tell to our viewers who have not seen your talk yesterday on Channel 1 what that is all about?
So Insights 2020 is a thought leadership initiative. And basically we set out to, see if actually customer centricity does drive business growth. Because we talk a lot about it, but does it actually deliver?
Can we prove that?
Can we prove that? And if so, what the drivers are of customer centricity. So what is it made up of? And then ultimately, how do I become more customer-centric? So if I know what the drivers are, how do I improve my score or my performance on each of those drivers? So that's what we set out to investigate. And it's actually turned into a really large-scale initiative, which is also made possible through the contribution of very significant partners, Esomar being one of them.
Yeah, because when you say we, an initiative, can you sketch a little bit the landscape? Who's working on this project?
So it's led by Millward Brown Vermeer, my company. But the first thing we did is create a coalition. And the first part of that coalition was an advisory board. And the advisory board is made up of 10 really heavy-hitting executives, thought leaders in the industry. It's chaired by Keith Wheat. He's the CMO of Unilever. And he's been joined by the CMO of Verizon, Sir Martin Sorrell, the CEO of WPP, Rob Norman, and
so
many
this
others.
is heavily founded on the industry itself.
The guys who keep us really sharp.
Exactly.
And then we created a coalition with Esomar, with Korn Ferry. They're interested in the leadership part of this. So what are the characteristics of effective leaders that drive customer centricity? Kantar, the mother organization of Millward Brown, and LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a special partner because they don't only offer, let's say, thought leadership or contribution in terms of the thinking, but actually access to their network and to their database. And that allows us to not only, let's say, survey in the traditional way, where people report what they do and what they think, but in their database show the behavioral data. So what do they actually do? Okay. How often are they connected and with who, etc.
Because I understand this project is not finished. You've been presenting here today, but where are we?
Well, that's a very good question, because initially we said, well, we'll deliver the results here at Esomar as a global launch of this. But actually, one of the drivers turned out to be collaboration and experimentation, so a culture of partnering and just trying things, trial and error, and learn as you go. And so in that spirit, we thought we should apply that spirit to our own initiative. So what we said here, and how I ended yesterday, so this is not the, let's say, the launch of what we learned, and here's the deliverable.
Here it is, and let's go ahead.
Rather, it is the launch of what we hope will become a movement, and we invite everybody to collaborate and experiment with us. So, for example, the next wave of quantitative survey is already planned in the LinkedIn communities for the end of this year, and it will be much tailored based on what everybody who is, and you, the watchers, who might actually come and reach out to us to say, I want you to dig deeper in this or study this case study.
Well,
so we'll shape it together.
It's good you mention our viewers, because also this interview is a collaborative effort, right? If you're watching right now and you have a question for Frank van der Driest or any of the other guests that you see in the studio, make sure you tweet them out to #EsomarTV, or you use the little question box on the bottom of your screen. So back to yesterday. The project is a movement, but obviously you've been working on it. So can you share some of the first findings that you found in this research?
So we started with doing over 300 in-depth interviews with top leaders in CMI, so the research industry, in marketing and in general business. And one of the first things we learned is that customer centricity is not an activity. It's not something you do on Thursday and on Monday, for example. But it's a really carefully chosen strategy that's guided and led by the brand purpose, but is set out to deliver better and on more actual customer needs.
Yeah.
And very importantly, to drive growth and commercial value. Let's not forget that part.
What is your insight about that link between customer centricity and the growth? Is there a monocausal reasoning, or what are the variables?
Well, I mean, that's actually one of the very first learnings, is that they really go hand in hand. And one might argue, okay, but if I grow faster, I think I'm more customer centric. That's true. Or that could very well be true. But what we did is, based on all these interviews, these qualitative interviews, we distilled 66 variables or components of customer centricity. We put them in a quant, and what we learned through all the analysis, that there's actually 10 that really stand out and actually drive customer-centric growth.
Now, I'm getting curious. Can you make a top 3?
Well, there's I would say three dimensions.
Okay.
There's an external dimension about what we offer our customers. We call that the total experience. And I'll go a bit deeper. So there's 3 dimensions and 10 drivers. The first dimension is the total experience, and there's 3 components, 3 drivers that actually help you deliver better.
All right.
One is that the experience is truly purpose-led, so guided by your brand purpose. Secondly, that it's about the depth, that the offer, the experience is really customized on your personal preferences and needs.
Yeah.
And the third is about the breadth, the consistency throughout all the channels that you deliver your experience. If you manage those 3 things well, you'll deliver a highly customer-centric experience for your customers.
Which will then set the stage for growth if you match the other dimensions and the other variables and all the things. Okay, so this is a little tiny tip of all these learnings. This already sounds interesting, a little abstract still. I guess when we dive into the materials that you guys produce, it will soon be more tangible.
So I challenge that this is not tangible yet. Let me give you just one example. So one example is, and I just referred to it, is this culture of collaboration and experimentation. And I think there's many things people can do tomorrow to actually perform better.
Please help.
So one is experimentation, and maybe you, with your company that you just told me about, you also experiment. Maybe we'll walk around next time that we do this.
We are.
Okay, you're already doing that. The next thing is that you say, you know what? Of everything we do, about a quarter we'll just experiment. And then the next level is, you know what? This cameraman, I'm going to empower him, because he is a specialist in his own right, and probably has some great ideas of how to improve this experience. And making that a real, making that part of your DNA
the core of the
is
culture.
Something that is very tangible, that you can say, well, we'll move it now next time to 10%, and ultimately I'm going to empower the whole crew here to be more customers and just to do what they think is best. And if they make a mistake, you don't fire them. You say, well, we learned, let's apply the learning as soon as we can.
Well, if you're applying this to our situation, I think we're up for a massive growth, because
that's exactly what you're doing.
This listens like cultural values that we share, but let's not talk too much about us. What I'd like to give you a hand to is, what if people want to dig deeper? You say we want to create a movement. Obviously, you already found 66 variables, 3 dimensions. What if I mean, our time is short in here, so where can our online viewers find more?
So what they should do is, obviously, for each of the drivers, what we've done at this stage is we defined what those drivers are, and we defined the steps, like I just told you about experimentation. What is the ladder that you need to climb to really become an overperformer? The next phase is all about codifying exactly how do you go from the first step to the second step to the third step on that ladder. And I think that's where we really seek, to collaborate with customers, with big companies, with associations like Esomar, maybe not as global, but tailored to local specific markets, and even competitors as far as I'm concerned. Everybody should
But so
join.
you have me, but where do I go? Quite literally. Like, is there a website? Do I email you? Where do I go?
There's multiple routes to go. One is the website, insights2020.org.
Okay.
Then we have a LinkedIn profile, a LinkedIn page where what we will turn into a platform. And then through Twitter and just my own company. So all of these roads will, you'll be welcomed with open arms.
Well, all right. Well, thank you very much, Frank. Let's end with that. If you're interested to read more, to find more, insights2020.org. That's where you find Frank and all the other collaborators, and that's where you can join. Read up first, and I think this sounds like an exciting project that people should definitely join.
Great.
Thank you very much, and enjoy the conference.
Cheers.
And with that, I'm going to head over to my social media moderator. If you have been watching more of these shows before, you know that this is Marcel van Overveld himself. And you are here at the back end, managing all the online activity.
Yeah, totally. I'm happy to say that there's a lot of activity on Twitter, pictures, a lot of interaction. However, I like to challenge you still, viewers, to send in questions, because take the opportunity. Guys like Frank, you have an opportunity to ask him a question one-on-one, really. So use that opportunity, I would say. Same goes for the polling.
The polling, because the next segment, again, we're in this show celebrating the client side of research.
Totally.
And I have on my seat, you noticed that Frank and I were sitting on 2 seats while we had 4. That is because I have 3 more new guests, and they're almost ready. I think I see 2 of them sitting there already. And with them, we're going to talk about a quote that we hear in the studio quite a lot.
Yes.
We are data rich, but insights poor.
Yeah, it's a sad statement, but we would like to see if whether you guys, viewers, can confirm or deny that. So go to the interaction panel, do us a favor. Thank you. There's another vote coming.
Yeah, I saw you open up a poll.
Yeah, we did.
And we actually would like to find out from you. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Are we data rich and insights poor? Yes or no? And I'll use that as a basis to talk to my panel.
Okay.
Marcel, if anything comes in, if you have a question, you will interrupt.
Totally. Thank you.
And with that, we're moving back to the seats. Hey, that's a familiar face. Good afternoon. Welcome back. To some of you who were joining either Channel 1 or Channel 2, you either were watching on Channel 2 Vanessa with Dave on stage. We saw you yesterday here in the studio show. Vanessa Oshima from the Coca-Cola company in Japan. Right next to me, you were on Channel 1 talking about the experience of the shopper, right? Holly Roswell from the Danone company. And on my right, I'm not sure we've seen you before on the stage. I don't think so. It's Marcia Lenihan, right, from 3 or 3 Mobile. And your case was being talked about yesterday on Channel 1 as well. Well, welcome. You're all 3 here as representatives of the client side of research. And, well, let's explore this phrase a bit that we heard a lot. So let's do a quick agree, disagree on all 3 of you. Vanessa, are we data rich and insights poor?
Maybe.
No. This is agree or disagree. We can do the nuance later. If you had to choose, this is deprivation. You don't have to maybe.
Right, okay. Then I would, so are we data, what did you say, data rich?
Are we data rich, but insights poor?
Agree.
Agree, reluctantly. And for you, Holly?
I would say absolutely.
Absolutely agree.
Yes.
And for you?
I'd say we're data rich and insights rich. We just haven't put them both together.
You see,
so you do agree.
Strict on her.
Yeah, exactly. This is
I go last. I'm getting a little bit slack here.
What's going on over here?
Okay.
That was a maybe.
But that was a slight maybe, right? But in fact, you agree. So that's a pity for a panel, but we all agree that we're data rich, but insights poor. So let's explore. What does it mean, actually? What does this phrase mean? What is being insights poor?
Go for it.
Okay, so first off, I would say it all comes down to people. And as you think about research and just data in general, it's really shifting. And it's kind of like at that paradigm shift where we can really create something new, and it's not just reporting. So my big thing at Dannon is you're not here to inform, you're here to inspire. So everything that comes from a report or even an email has to have a direct recommendation or implication to drive consumer behavior change. Unfortunately, what I've seen is even people that are well versed in research quite don't know how to inspire quite yet. So what is happening is they're still in this mode of, I can tell you the perfect methodology to do to get to the outcome you want, but then they can't inspire the organization to actually act on it. So that's where I really see Insights Rich coming, is people that can pull from multiple data points and multiple research projects and say, hey, when you put all this together, there's this unmet need that we need to really drive the organization to do, but it comes from also having the right people that can do that.
I would build on that to basically say, we're talking about making our insights actionable. And the way that for your insights, because the reason I said maybe is that people do bring insights, but sometimes they bring insights that are not answering the questions that we actually have. They've found something interesting over here in the data. And I was like, yeah, okay, that can be interesting over here, but the problem we're trying to solve is here. And so often it's because they don't know the problem we're trying to solve, that we're not being open enough to basically say, we need insight around this problem. We just basically say, could you do some research and find us an insight? And then they bring the insight back and we're like, we don't know how to use that. You know,
exactly.
there was a presentation yesterday about that, which was like, oh no, the thing was really good. It's just it wasn't quite the insight we were looking for. But we've got to get that communication better.
So you say our poverty of insights mainly might consist from the way the brief is given or the openness from the client side?
I think there's an element of capabilities, like being able to do that meta kind of analysis, to be able to be comfortable to pull quantitative data and qualitative data and semiotic data all together, because we're still siloed. I'm a quant researcher, I'm a qual, I'm a whatever, but we do actually need people who can pull it all together, so I completely agree. But there's also an element of, are we actually telling people what we're looking for? Because it's a mountain of data out there. It's like going onto the beach with one of those finders, to try
I
and
found
find
something,
stuff.
but I wasn't looking for a golden ring.
Yeah,
I was looking for coins. And in your case, Marcia, what does Insight Spore mean?
I think one of the things that's quite interesting for us as a mobile operator is we have access to huge amounts of data about our consumers. So if you have the right permissions in place, you can work out where someone is, what sites they're looking at, who they're talking to. If they've got some kind of fitness tracker, you can even tell if they're doing their morning run or not. And that's
Did it?
Yeah.
You did it?
In your case, we know you're on it. So we had the potential to learn so much more about our consumers and customers. But it's how we apply that, and it's actually having the technology where you can simply pull all that data and it's not a manual process, and then you've got people with the analytics experience to be able to mine the insight out of that. At the moment, you end up with just packets and packets of data, and just like you said, you're data mining, you're hoping you're going to see something in there, whereas I think we prefer to work from an insight hypothesis-based approach. So derive your hypotheses and then go out and test it. Otherwise, we found that experience in the business where you don't know what you're trying to answer.
I think that's really interesting, because that's where big data is probably going to have to take us, which is that there's so much data there that you're going to actually have to do hypothesis testing to be able to sort of say use the data to hypothesis test, which we haven't really been in that situation before, because big data it's just so much of it, and we've got to be able to chunk it down into usable pieces. And I think that's the new paradigm shift for us.
And just recently, we've just developed an econometric model for the business based on our acquisition market. We derived a number of hypotheses as well cross-functionally, so I think that picks up on what you were saying. You've got to work with everyone, break down the silos to try and derive really good hypotheses, and someone in a sales channel will have a really different idea from a trading marketing person. Bring everyone together, but we tested 800 different data sources to get to our model. It's not unusual, but it's just the breadth of information out there is huge.
I think it's also having the right hypotheses, though. So a lot of times I'll get questions at me, and I'm like, but that's not the way that we should be looking at it or thinking about it. So in fact, a lot of the times the questions that come are like, why? And I really try and provoke my teams to say, why not? And it's just that kind of mindset shift as well. So yes, it's like you have to go into hypotheses, but you also have to know when to steer them.
But I think from us on the client side, I mean, honestly, we do it a lot, right? We basically moan, right? We moan and say it's insights poor.
There's a lot of
Right.
honesty there.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but we do. We moan because, and the thing is we say that this is the goal. This is what good looks like. And then when the agencies get close, we move the goal and we.
Oh, you're already there?
Yeah,
But then I actually want to know
we
that.
move it on, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's we want to be better, but the thing is that we're asking people to be something different. You know, you're a sprinter. I want you to be a marathon runner, but we're not actually putting anything in place to help them transition
Well,
to that.
and
Before it was about data. Now it's about storytelling and inspiring and all of this, and we're doing nothing.
Exactly,
to help.
but my question was, is it about them? Is it about data researchers becoming more about the analytics and the why? Or because if you move to that field, then who is guarding our methodologies and our data quality and our privacy issues and all that stuff? I mean, if we make super catchy communicators out of them, you know,
That's a good
can you be both?
Well, it's
So-
a good point. It's about choosing your specialties. Like, are you the decathlete? Or are you somebody who specializes? If you're somebody who specializes and says, you know what, I'm kind of crap at the whole inspiring storytelling thing, but I'm really good at the data. The
But shouldn't that be the task of the client side researchers, like people in your position, or how do you feel about that?
I think you still need to have diverse teams. I think that's actually how you will get
That's
the
the
best
point, right.
from research, is making sure you might have that person that's excellent at storytelling, but then you need that person that really knows methodology inside and out. So when you come together in team meetings, they can say, hey, this is the issue I'm trying to currently solve. What would you guys recommend?
I think that's the point you were basically saying. Does a person need to do it all? It's like a person doesn't need to do it all, but a team does.
Yeah.
And so we need to bring together diverse teams. Now, if that means that we have to bring a team of diverse agencies, where we've got like a very good agency at data and we've got a very good agency at being creative, then they've got to learn to collaborate together instead of seeing each other as competitors. Because often the agencies are seeing each other as competitors, where if we could actually say, you know what, you're going to collaborate together on this because you're good at the methodology and you can blow conjoint out of the water like I've never seen anybody, but you really can't tell a story to save yourself. So let's get these guys in to help us. You know, but I mean, that's the honest conversations we've got to have.
And I think that's sort of the way forward for me, is especially as new specialisms develop. So it's really interesting working with young new companies who may be saying we're testing a new methodology. It doesn't mean you don't work with more established businesses as well, but you want to bring everyone together, mix it up, and just keep learning, because everything's changing at such a pace. Who was it yesterday said the pace of change is just going to get quicker?
Yeah, it was the
Like-
guys from Unilever,
Yeah,
right?
Stan
The
from
world
Unilever.
is
Yeah.
never going
Gonna be
to
this
change
slow again.
slower than
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
right?
And it's like brilliant. We're researchers. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We want change.
But on the client side, how are you adapting? You say we need diverse teams. Can you open a little bit about what new hires are you taking on your teams? How do we indeed see new skill sets coming in?
So I'll speak just from my own
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
Just the most recent 3 or 4 hires I've had into my team have not come from pure research backgrounds. I've had someone who's come from Boston Consulting Group, so from strategy kind of brought them in. Someone who's come from the advertising agency, was a strat planner coming into the agency. Somebody who didn't even graduate from university. Just straight out of high school. And
So
but
why?
I mean,
Explore
he's
a
not
bit
straight out of
why.
high school. He's not 19 years old, but he's like, he's out of high school and went straight to work.
Okay.
And so he knows, you know, he was working in the Coca-Cola business, but now he's like in my team because he knows
He knows
reality.
the groundwork.
He knows
Yeah,
the groundwork.
yeah, yeah.
And he's one of the most insightful guys when it comes to saying about how you're going to action it, because he's lived it. You know, and so that's the kind of difference.
And that then
Yeah.
helps in communicating the
And
results.
so it's for us to
internally.
basically sort of say, well, in particular from client side, does my team have to be experts in conjoint? Maybe not,
Yeah.
right? The agencies we work with have to, but you know, we're getting a lot more diverse in the kind of people that we're hiring, definitely.
And the key thing for us, really, I think you'll see the rise of kind of the angrier researcher. He's kind of, when you're client side, everyone comes to you and says, can you do this, can you do that? And the point we've been working on is we're not a kind of service team. We're actually there to say, what's the business impact of this? What decision is this going to drive? And how is this actionable insight? And if people aren't able to explain that or articulate that, we're not going to spend the company's money on it. Because that really frustrates me when you look back and you look at the money you wasted on pieces of research and nothing changed.
The doorstop research, yeah?
Yeah.
That big
Yeah.
PowerPoint deck or
Thank you very
something
much.
that it
Yeah.
sits
Yeah.
off in
Yeah.
the
Let's put it
doorstop.
in the drawer.
I really, really need that quickly.
All right.
No, I don't need it at all.
All right.
How
Hey,
about Denon's team?
what?
Your team.
Oh, definitely diverse, and it's each one of us has a strong point, and so it's kind of when if someone leaves a team or moves on to even a brand team within the organization, we try and make sure that we get those type of capabilities back in the new person we're looking at. I take it even a step further. I think one of the biggest red flags to me is when I'm talking to agencies, and if they tell me they do everything. And I'm like, instantly, I'm like, nope, I want a specialist. If I'm gonna do a conjoint, if I'm gonna do positioning, I want the leading expert. But it's amazing how many people I talk to or agencies I talk to today that want to do everything.
Be everything at once for everybody, right? And that doesn't work. Well, to wrap this up, what I was like, I mean, we have over 1,000 registrants here at Esomar TV. This is a large audience. Obviously, this stuff is all recorded, so perhaps even more people will see it. Let's take the opportunity. We can make some change starting, right? You all have a clear message, either to your fellow client-side researchers or perhaps to the agencies that you're talking to. Feel free, if you could take the camera and send out one message to this audience to change something tomorrow.
Okay. The one thing I would change is to basically say, let's look for the question, the real question. So keep asking us until you really understand what the question is that we're trying to solve. And don't be afraid, this is to the agencies, don't be afraid to push us, right? You know, you're our peers. You are not somebody that just basically has to say yes. So push us, that would be my request.
Nice.
Yes. No, that was
Holly?
excellent. So I definitely agree with that, but I would say the other thing is be status quo rejectors, as I like to call it. Status quo rejectors. So instead of always doing things the way they're used to, or the client might kind of know something, really push them to think outside the box and to think differently about something, because that's the only way we're going to change consumer behavior.
Wow. Well, if you're watching right now, there's work to be done tomorrow. Masha, to finish this off, that is your camera.
I would just say, I agree with what you said. I would say hold your internal clients to account. Ask them, what's the business impact? What are they going to do as a result of the insight you provided? And follow it through. Make sure you've created change and you can prove it, because that makes the CFO happy and it elevates the profile of insights in the business.
All right. Well, and with that, we come to the end of this very interesting panel, and we come to the end of the section, which was all about the client side of research. But make sure you stay tuned, because I'm going to have a little dash around the show floor in a bit, because we want to make room here for the award ceremony of the best young researcher and the best exhibitor. So stay tuned, stay with us, and let's enjoy some of the exhibition. All right, and here we are back in the aisle, just like we did yesterday afternoon. Let's have a walk around. You see a lot of buzz, you hear a lot of buzz. It's lunchtime. Maybe we can go over to some of these beautiful desks over here. And I can kind of poke your eyes out of all the good stuff that people are eating here in Dublin. Hello, who are you? Where are you from?
I'm Hilda Islas, and I live in England, but I'm originally from Mexico.
Okay, and what has the conference been like for you in the past 2 days?
In the past few days, it's actually been very successful. I got to meet a lot of new people, and I come almost every year. I think I've been coming for about 12 years now, so this is a good one.
You're a regular?
Yes, I'm a regular.
Well, I hope to see you again later and enjoy the delicious desserts. Here's another lady. Hello, who are you? Where are you from?
Marie Lahaye from Efficiency in France.
In France. And is this your first Esomar conference?
No, I've done many Esomar conferences actually.
And what is the 2015 edition like?
I like it actually. It's very vibrant. You get to meet a lot of people again, and it's new companies, new techniques, and very good conferences.
Did you vote for the Best Exhibition Award?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, well, it's going to be announced in about 2 minutes, so maybe you're too late.
We're ready.
Bon appétit.
Merci.
And if something over here I want to show you, you've been perhaps seeing that in the background of Marcel's booth. As you can see, this is the Esomar Foundation. Hello. You are in the back of us. You've been watching our little Esomar TV studio going on. What is happening in this booth, and what are you doing with the Esomar Foundation?
Okay, so the Esomar Foundation, we've been founded 12 months. And I've been spending this morning going around all the lovely people here on these stands, raising funds, because we want to develop more education in emerging markets. We've done some work in Myanmar already last year and this year. And so if any of your viewers are
use your podium.
Some of them probably know me, actually, so hi, anybody who knows me. We're looking for emerging markets that really haven't got developed training programs, and the Esomar Foundation will support them in setting them up so that they can build capacity and develop their skill set for the modern market research world.
Yeah, because I think we heard on Channel 1 earlier today, we heard Marita Schimpel talk about that. Can you explain a little bit what type of work you were doing in Myanmar?
Well, in Myanmar, last year we went and we did a basics of market research course to 40 odd people, so 40 young researchers in Myanmar going through all the basics. And then this year we went back and did a specific qualitative course for 3 days where we taught people how to do focus groups and depth interviews. And they went away and did stuff on Facebook, and I thought, oh, that's new. That's good for them. And then we did 3 days on quantitative and analytics.
Well,
It's really helpful for them.
so great work. It's all about development of the profession. You're a foundation, a fund, I guess. You've been around recruiting exhibitors to fund you. What if people watching want to donate, or how does that work?
Oh, well, contact Esomar Foundation at, we've got a website. You can see us on the Esomar website. If they want to donate, that would be super. But we're going to run an online auction to do fundraising in November, December. So I've been recruiting prizes and people to support us for that this morning.
Well, perfect. Keep an eye on that.
I had a lot of good support.
Good. So we're going to have a super cool silent auction. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Very much indeed. Thank you. See you.
And with that, I look over the shoulder of my cameraman, and I think they're about ready to start with the award ceremony for the Best Exhibitor Award and the Best Young Researcher. Finn, if you're ready, feel free to take it away.
Thank you very much, Kurt. And this is kind of the scary bit, actually, I have to say, because Kurt has done a fantastic job of hosting this particular studio for the last couple of days. And it's now over to us without any help. So it's a bit like having learned how to swim, and now we have to do it ourselves. So that's going to be a bit challenging. But anyway, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of our online viewers, wherever you happen to be. And we have decided this year to present 2 awards while live to you online, instead of having it either over lunch or over dinner, so that hopefully all of you can participate in some of the fantastic things that are going on here in Congress. So the first award we're going to present is that of the Young Researcher Award. And I'm really delighted to be joined by Laurent Flores, our president, who is actually hosting the award. So Laurent, how about telling us a little bit about how it went on in the session?
First of all, thank you, Finn. To tell you the truth, having been part of not only the panel of experts to actually judge, but sharing the session today, I found them exciting, fantastic, and I got feedback from the audience as well, saying that they were over-delivering on their ability not only to present valuable content, but also to engage the audience. So I guess that if that's the future of our industry, I think we must be very proud of what they did today. And I'm sure that they're all on the backstage, the 3 of them are, just waiting to actually see who's going to be the winner. As I said, I was part of the judges this year, but what we introduced is actually something new. 50% of the hosting is going to be actually by the audience itself during that actually attended. So that make it really live and actually new as well. So accordingly, I guess they're all here. They're probably waiting. So what are we going to be doing?
Well, first of all, delighted that the peer review process is not just by jury, but has also included the audience. So the winner, whoever it is going to walk away knowing full well that they've had a tremendously good mark given to them by the audience. So the hard part now starts. We were, in fairness, I'm going to get somebody to fix that for me very shortly. Always a good mistake, first day in the studio. We were actually inundated, if I'm right, with submissions for the award before we actually picked the finalists.
Yeah, correct. Actually, what happened is we invite a very large number of people to submit, and everybody is welcome to submit. The point is the only condition is to be under 30 years old. We received a large number of submissions that we did actually review, and actually we had the chance to invite the 3 of them to be on stage and present today. So accordingly, it's probably the best of the best for the year. So and they've been outstanding in terms of ability to perform. So I'm actually quite proud and happy to have been chairing the session again. So.
Fantastic. Well, look, you, as you mentioned earlier, you were on the jury. You know who the nominations are. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the process?
So, we have in fact 3 nominations. The first person was a lady, obviously, Samantha Bound, and she actually told us about the new rules of attraction, how to attract millenniums in general and to our industry. The second pretender was actually Arindam Mohanty, telling us about the Revolution Express, taking the train from Mumbai to the other side of the country to actually get immersed into the culture. And finally, we had someone from Mongolia that flew over just to actually tell us about what to be called a snack in China. Very interesting, very insightful in all of them. And I guess I just received the envelope, the magic envelope. So
the important envelope.
The very important envelope. Where are they? Okay. And the jury said, when I say the jury and the audience, said that the winner for the award this year is Arindam Mohanty for his presentation, The Evolution Express. So please give him a round of applause.
Come and join us. Fantastic. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Really brilliant.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have a small award here.
Okay.
Indeed, as the Young Researcher Award of 2015, which I hope will have pride of place in your office and doing all of the important things to celebrate that in your office, and a certificate as well.
As well as I stated, 2 free attendances to workshop and a sum of 2,500 euros. So congratulations.
Thank you.
An award obviously for the finalists. There must be only one winner. So guys, I know that you're all below 30 years old. You can compete again next year. But congratulations to Arindam.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You want to say?
Sure. Yeah, this is really overwhelming, and it's great. I mean, I had trouble getting to Dublin. I managed to nearly make it out of jail, because I nearly got arrested while we were doing this exercise. But this is great, and hats off to my competition, Samantha and Brett. They were amazing, and I think they wrote brilliant papers, and I'm glad I had competition like that. Thank you very much for making it worthwhile. Thank you,
Fantastic.
guys.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Lovely words.
Thank
Lovely
you.
words.
Well done. Thank you, guys.
And I think one of the most important things that Arun said there was the fact that the standard of competition was high. We love having this particular award. We've been very proud of it since it was started. So please, if you're out there and you think that you have a great paper to present next year, make sure to get the submission in.
Just to build on that, I guess you were broadcasting that to the world. So accordingly, this year we had someone from Europe, from India and China, so are very much global in nature. Please do and come to submit proposals for next year. We need you. The only condition, I cannot compete myself. I'm just 31, and so only the guys under 30 can actually do it. So please join us next year.
So can I submit?
Maybe not.
Thanks. So on to a second award that we've instituted this year, which for us is actually another very important one, because the exhibitors and the sponsors who support all of our conferences and ventures around the world are an incredibly integral part of what we do. We couldn't do what we do without their support, and we thought therefore it only fair to try and recognize them at the events that we host. So we have this year initiated a Best Exhibitor Award.
Well done. I guess, as Finn said, to paraphrase what he said, without the exhibitors, the attendees in general, will not be able to make the conference a success year after year. Not only that, but actually we're also looking for feedback from exhibitors to actually make it even better next year. Next year will be New Orleans. We'll be actually, again, hopefully using Esomar TV slideshow in order to actually stream worldwide. But without further ado, I guess, I got something to announce.
I think you do. I hope you have the envelope in front of you.
Yes, I do. So I'm going to be, opening it. And I guess the winner of the Best Exhibitor Award for this year is Lightspeed GMI. So please join us in...
Indeed, we have Martin Filtz, who is the European MD of Lightspeed GMI. Martin, how are you? Fantastic.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, despite my best attempts to ruin your trophy, I do have a small trophy for you which has survived my incident as an amateur presenter, so please forgive that. There is obviously a little certificate for you as well. Would you like to say a few words?
I'd love to. Thank you to Esomar. And on behalf of Lightspeed GMI, it's wonderful to receive this award. I'm really receiving it on behalf of Vipke van der Waal, who unfortunately can't be with us at this moment because she's having a long lunch. And she put in tireless work for the event, but equally our partnership with Esomar, which is so important to us as an organisation and also so important for the research community. And it goes way beyond this annual event. The work done behind the scenes is tremendous. We're a better industry for it, and this is wonderful, but it's really the partnership that we cherish. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mark.
And well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, that really concludes this session. You've seen how poor I can manage a hosting. Hopefully I'll have improved by the next time I'm talking to you on TV. And I guess at this stage, unless you'd like to take over the role...
Oh, I guess you have a long way to improve to become a Frenchman, but that will probably happen someday. But anyway, it was a pleasure to be with you again today.
And all I can say is good luck in the rugby.
Thank you very much. But we'll speak about that later on tonight.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Well, look, thank you all for watching it. And with that, I'm going to hand back to Gerrit. So thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
I have 422 friends, yet I'm lonely. I speak to all of them every day, yet none of them really know me. The problem I have sits in the spaces between looking into their eyes or at a name on a screen. I took a step back and opened my eyes. I looked around and realised that this media we call social is anything but when we open our computers and it's our doors we shut. A world where we're slaves to the technology we mastered, where information gets sold by some rich, greedy bastard. A world of self-interest, self-image, self-promotion, where we all share our best bits but leave out the emotion. I can't stand to hear the silence of a busy commuter train where no one wants to talk through the fear of looking insane. We're becoming unsocial. It no longer satisfies to engage with one another and look into someone's eyes. We're surrounded by children who, since they were born, have watched us living like robots and think it's the norm. It's not very likely you'll make world's greatest dad if you can't entertain a child without using an iPad. When I was a child, I'd never be home. Be out with my friends on our bikes we would roam. I'd wear holes in my trainers and graze up my knees. We'd build our own clubhouse high up in the trees.
Okay, and welcome back here in the studio with an entire new set where we, for the next 30 minutes, going to talk about the future of research, right? Because we've been talking about the client side, we saw the award winners, the Young Researchers Award. This is the future right here. And in the next half hour, we're going to talk about the new skills that researchers need. But first, we're going to talk about a theme that we discussed more in the studio already, and that is about how can we communicate our results so that they even improve the value and lead to better results. And therefore, I have with me Nick Coates, thank you very much, and Dave McLean. You guys are both scheduled for a session tomorrow morning, which is called Now I See What You Mean, a project with merely pictures and no words, right?
Correct, that's right. Well, absolutely.
Welcome. Well, we discussed briefly whether we should do this interview without words, but that might not give the right effect. So explain a little bit to our viewers who are not familiar with the concept. What is this session tomorrow all about?
So tomorrow we're going to be talking about an experiment we've done. We didn't know what we were going to find out, where our aim was to use photography and looking primarily with a photographer's mindset, not just with a photographer's camera, and see whether it would allow us to discover new things and new ways of working with consumers that would be more revealing, more expressive, and hence more communicative for our clients.
we feel as an industry we're very good with words, we're very good with language, with concepts, with logical structures, but we tend to overlook visuals. We overlook the image, and images, of course, are really powerful. You know, we remember things in images, our dreams, our imaginations are highly visual. So we thought it was time we turned the tables and gave as much attention to visuals as we normally give to words.
And just to be very clear on this, is this something you did in the data collection phase, or was this more in the communicating phase?
It's absolutely a discovery approach. So we spent time with customers. It took quite a long time. We saw them repeatedly. We took photographs of them. We took photographs of their homes. Our theme was color, so we were looking at paint and home decorating. And we also used photography as an expressive tool to help consumers capture better than they could do in words what they felt about their color choices. And that's what we'll be presenting tomorrow.
And rather than doing the normal thing of following a discussion guide or an interview guide and asking people, oh, and where did you get the paint and what gave you the idea for this shade of raspberry red or whatever it was, we followed the image. So we didn't have a guide with us. We took lots of pictures. We showed the pictures back to our participants, our subjects. They spoke about them. We went and took more pictures and showed them again. So it was quite an iterative process where we were trying to follow the image and understand the mood and the feeling that the images created, which, we will explain tomorrow, talk about tomorrow.
All right. Well, before I get into that, let me remind you, I saw some tweets, for example, from Sue, who was asking Finn if there could be more audience participation in the live stream. Well, let me invite you one more time. If you have a question for either Nick or David here at my desk, make sure you tweet them out, #EsomarTV, or if you don't use Twitter, which might very well be the case, scroll a little bit down on your page where you see a little ask box where you can then enter your question. I see them coming in right here on my laptop and I can ask them straight away. Back to the topic of using photography. You say we try to put as much emphasis on images as we normally do on words.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Then what happens? What does that lead to? What did that give you as researchers?
So I think the point about photography is, like I said before, it's not the kit you have, it's the way you look at things. When you look through at the world through a lens, you see new things in different ways. Because you're not taking notes, but primarily you have to document everything. You look into different nooks and crannies, you look high, you look low, you look from different angles, use different lenses. We found all kinds of interesting, often subconscious connections between the material world, paint, walls, objects, and actually the world of feelings and associations, which for something like paint and color is incredibly important because we discovered and learned a lot, I think, about how memory works, about how place is linked to color, and about how people's kind of dreams and fantasies actually exist beyond the technical layer of paint. So something 2D becomes quite 3D.
And we're all trying to get more insights and trying to generate more ideas and insights, and yet we're overlooking, a huge source of insight, which is what we see around us. And as Nick said, by taking a photographic approach, looking at different angles and perspectives, framing things in different ways, blurred photographs, zoom burst, kind of a technical thing with a style of photography that you can do, it gives you new angles. It makes available more connections.
Wait a second, it gives you new angles? How do you analyze this? What are you analyzing and how do you interpret these photos, especially if you don't have any language to explain rationally what is happening?
So it would be a mistake to think that we did this without talking.
Okay.
What we evolved was something that's neither a traditional interview, nor is it pure observation.
Okay.
But is a kind of co-discovery approach where we were able to talk to consumers, then we took photos, then we showed them the photos, and through that process we got much deeper because they were able to reflect, yes, that photo exactly captures what I mean by fizzy, or that photo exactly captures what I wanted to convey about my personality, and we kind of were working on it together. And over the 2 visits, like 4 or 5 hours we spent with people, we really got quite far in that journey together by talking but also by seeing.
So we were listening as well as looking, and in the end we make the point that of course it's good to have both visuals and words, and that words and images work very well together. It's just that we tend to forget about the images, or it tends to be a last
But in the end, the
thing.
insight still comes from talking about
Absolutely.
the pictures and the why and the how. And okay, interesting. Now you're presenting this new methodology tomorrow.
Yes.
Obviously, this is something from the past. What's up for you guys in 2016? Where are you taking this?
Well, I think the message here is that we're both photographers in our spare time. it made a lot of sense. It's a personal passion of ours. We think it's valuable. But everyone in this room, most consumers are walking around with a camera in their pocket that can both take amazing quality photos and can do post-production. We can manipulate images, we can share them. So I think I'm interested to see where we could take this if we democratized it, if we had consumers taking more photos, and also if we could spend more time manipulating photos together with people to try and more accurately and more interestingly represent insights.
All right.
So this is just the beginning, and obviously tomorrow when our client will be there on the stage, and we will find out from her what she says the business value of what we've done is, or the potential business value of what we've done. But we certainly like to think there's a lot more that we could do. This was just the beginning. This was just a pilot, really, an experimental approach. A lot more to come, we think.
Well, exciting. Thank you very much for this little sneak preview. Tomorrow, Channel 1, by heart, 9 o'clock, I think, 9:25. Yeah, exactly. So if you're interested in that, you should keep watching. And talking about photos so much, that actually makes me curious to find out if we can pull some photography from out of your offices and homes. So I'm going to walk over to Marcel van Overveld, our online moderator, and see if we can actually get you guys moving, get you guys to pull out that mobile phone, that beautiful, powerful camera that we just talked about, and actually snap a picture of where and how you're watching us, right? And I think we saw some people do that, Marcel.
Yes, yes, yes.
Earlier today.
That's true, that's true. I have a nice
let's see if we can put that on screen.
Example here on the Esomar team. Actually, it's a little bit
it's a little
crowded, but still, that's I think a nice one.
This is what we're looking for. Eh? So if you're watching, and they are obviously watching as a group.
They do. It's a hub, as we call it.
And hub in Amsterdam.
Hub. Yeah.
Just shoot a picture and show us what it's like to actually what your remote Esomar TV experience is like. What else do we have?
Yeah, I have to scroll a bit through the pictures, but here we go. This is was of course in the previous session on
4CA Consulting in Cairo office. I hope you're still with us.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome, Cairo. And this is one of our most trusted viewers, I might add, after a 1.5 day with Claire. And Claire is just sharing a picture, it's a bit blurry in the back, how she is enjoying what we are doing here.
Well, I'm very glad you're with us, Claire. And if you haven't done so, make sure you invite some friends or colleagues. This stuff is all free and available not only here in the studio, but also obviously in room 1 and room 2.
Yeah, and there's another poll open, so I invite my
polling?
viewers. We're polling actually what are the skills for the future researchers.
Exactly, because we've been listening and talking a lot about that the classical market researchers is not fit for the future, and they should develop better communication skills and better analytical skills. We actually want to know from you right now, just input, what skills do we need?
And surprise me, guys, because I want a validated poll and not like, you know,
2 or 3 answers.
2, 10, 20, but look, I'm looking for hundreds here. Right. So help me with that.
Well, please break in, because we're going to talk about this topic a little bit more with my new 2 guests. Welcome here. This is a magical change. Here we had Nick and David, and now here we have Carolyn Bates and David Smith.
Correct.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. For our consistent viewers, they were able to see you earlier today, right, on Channel 1, where you presented your research into the new skills required.
Yeah, that's right.
I must admit, I was at the moment in Channel 2. Perhaps some of your viewers were there as well. So can you share with us, what are some of the key findings of the research you are conducting?
Yeah, so a number of key findings that we shared in the paper. I guess the first one was around just attraction. So how do we get the story out there about careers in research, and how do we represent a more positive view of the industry? So there's a bit of a job to do there.
Yeah.
The other was around outreach. So how do we get that message into universities? So we know that 64% of people fall into research, so it's not an active career choice. So what we're trying to address with the study is getting more people out there in the industry, doing their bit, getting out to universities and spreading the word. And then we also looked at access to the industry, and we had a case study that showcased how you can bring in young talent, kind of 16 plus, into the industry early. And then finally we talked about the need for more mentoring within the industry, some more support to help navigate career paths. And there we had Kristen from The Wire, which is Women in Research Network, talking about her experiences of support there. So just a couple of themes.
The key findings, and it's broad themes. It's about the image of the industry, it's about the delivered choice, it's about youth, and wow.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening in your background, but we'll explore in a little bit. There's a big group photo.
Yeah.
David, the image of the industry, let's explore a bit about that, because it's a big theme. It's something that's going to be addressed later today as well. What is going on there?
Well, it's always been a bit of a frustration working in market research, because the job itself, you meet lots of great people, you're working on really interesting projects, you can travel the world, there's lots of opportunity to expand. So it should be something that people want to go into. But for a whole bunch of reasons that we probably haven't got time to go in here, that
Let's
it
explore.
tends to kind of underachieve in terms of people's perceptions. So what we're trying to do is turn that round and get the message out that there's a really great career in market research. You know, everybody wants someone who can solve problems, that can actually understand human behavior, can apply that to helping companies grow and tell the story. So the skill set's there, but we've got to get out the message that we've got lots of great people in the industry, and we want more young people to come in and follow in that path.
And have you just been researching this, or do you also recommend certain actions that the industry should take?
So a bit of both. So we started off researching the problem with Esomar membership, where we got a really clear view. But now we're focused on what can we do about those challenges and
Let's
how
explore.
do you get involved.
Yeah.
So we've got a stand here at Congress where we're getting people signed up to do their bit. And we're giving them a whole host of ways of doing that, but we're really saying kind of over to the industry to decide what that should be. So it could be going out to your university and giving a talk, could be going to your the school of your children and doing a talk, it could be offering to be a mentor, it could be about representing a great case study of where we've had impact, where we've made a difference. But the conclusion we had is we can't solve this unless everybody gets involved and takes on an initiative.
So let's add some sense of urgency here. David, if we don't do this,
well,
what will happen to us as an industry?
Well, it won't be good for us. We do need to do something now. And I'm here, you know, partly as the Esomar Vice President. We've got an initiative that you've probably heard about, the Esomar Growth Initiative 2017, and this is one of our main work streams around actually getting over the image, or improving, enhancing the image of the industry, and particularly getting young talent into the industry. So we've all got kind of our key performance indicators to meet. So there's lots of things happening at the top level strategically, and in terms of concrete things on the ground. If everyone here came forward and gave an hour of their time for mentoring or visiting a university or giving a talk at their local school, all that helps with the
Yeah, because that's how practical it can get, right? I mean, we can talk all about it, but
exactly.
in the end, you need to schedule that hour in your diary.
Yeah, I agree.
How are you doing that yourself?
Well, I've always had this philosophy. If you wake up in the morning, there's the pile of things that you have to do for your own job, but there's also the kind of extracurricular pile of other stuff that you take on, and you've got to really deal from the top. If you say, I'm not going to do anything till the work pile's gone down, 30 years ago by, you never do anything. So you've always got to kind of deal from the top. Say, today I can spend an hour working for Esomar, or today I can spend an hour working for the market research study in the UK, or I can pick up the phone to a university and say, can I give a talk? So it is doable if you break it down into mind-sized chunks and give that hour. So that, I think, leads to action.
Exactly. Well, great example. And it's nice. This is a question that everybody can ask themselves, right? Like, do I balance my data? How are you doing this, Caroline?
Yeah, I mean, again, kind of following David's lead. I've been working on the project for a couple of years now, and it's always on my to-do list, so there's always something new to do to get people involved. And I don't see that it stops here. I see that the session this morning was the start. It was about broadcasting what we're doing, and now the hard bit comes in, which is getting people to pledge their time and to realise that it's not that much commitment, but a little bit of commitment is going to make a massive difference.
So moving into the attracting younger people, have you found anything in your research, or perhaps from your own experience, like what is that one nugget?
Yeah.
What is that USP of the market research industry to young people?
So I think there's a couple. The two key themes out of the project were definitely around variety. So no day at work is ever the same. You never quite know what you're going to get in our industry, and that's really exciting. And the second one is around innovation and the fact that we're constantly evolving, that we're always coming up with new ideas. Nothing stays the same, and that's really exciting for young people.
I mean, the other thing we've tended to kind of underplay is the fact we're in the business of understanding what makes people tick, and that's really fantastically exciting. And we tend to position ourselves, we know about the data, it's rather pacified. If we said, well, look, we know a lot about what makes people tick, and that could help governments do really good things in education and training, it could do good things to help successful companies grow. So we really need to emphasize that's a really attractive career to be at the heart of understanding. Just to understand is an important skill set, and then to be able to communicate it and lead to action that benefits communities, companies, governments. It's quite a nice position to be in. So we should get that story out more stridently.
I think as well, people get access to projects and clients very, very quickly in our industry. In other sectors, it might be 4 years of training before they're let loose. In our sector, it's quite often literally a couple of days into the role, you could have access to a project and be really making a difference. And again, in a lot of our research, the feedback from new graduates was, wow, it's amazing. I really get responsibility, I get access to the problem, and that's hugely exciting.
Because what would you say from a young person's, at the start of their career perspective, what is the competition? I mean, with this skill set that you're coming out of, what are we battling against?
Well, it can be some really high-profile companies. So, for example, Matt Taylor, who was from Twitter, who was part of our session, he was talking about who he's competing against in terms of new talent. He's up against the big banks, the tech startups, a lot of those technical skills, hugely competitive. So I think we can't underestimate the future skill set that we need and how competitive it is. So we have to be really strong in our message of why choose us as a career.
And that's part of the message.
You have a question?
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's your role here.
We're actually polling here, so I think we have some interesting answers on the poll.
Okay.
On Slido, it's also on screen if possible.
There we go.
On the is it on screen? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So maybe some possible interaction on that.
Yeah. So you're saying the most important skills is working with automatically collected data, is what some of our viewers say, to make sure they adapt to new changes in the market constantly, be futuristic, new ways to read and understand data. So this is basically about what Finn earlier, and it's Finn words, so we can quote him on that, about a rather conservative industry in need for change.
Well, basically what it is, the industry was built up around the main source of information about consumers was the survey. And there's a whole bunch of very important skills you need to understand that, and that continues. But now there's so many other ways of learning about what's going on in the world, the social media, what we call passive data that's out there. And we want to send out a signal that we now have got the holistic skills to bring all that together to tell the story. So, and it's a great skill set to have if you're good at, you can't be a storyteller until you can integrate all of the information. And that's coming in from all sorts of exciting sources. So it's a great industry to be in, to be able to do that.
What would you say this means? Be futuristic. What is that?
So I think in a way it's that your skill set needs to constantly evolve, and I think maybe 10, 15 years ago it was a bit more solid, a bit more constant what you needed to know, and now literally every couple of weeks there's something new you need to get your head around, so you need to be up for innovation and up for constantly learning new skills.
Sounds scary.
Exciting.
Well, I mean, on that point, in saying that there's a whole new skill set, you're not trying to send out a message that when you need superheroes that suddenly arrive from another planet can do all these. It's basically about building a team that collectively have got these skills. But the difference is that everybody needs to know a little bit about these other areas rather than saying I'm in a silo of just dealing with this type of data. So we've got a team that know a little bit about everything with people that have got specialisms in particular areas. So that's the kind of model for the future, and that's a nice team to work in.
And I think that is slowly starting to become the message of Esomar 2015, because you're not the first one saying it. And I like this analogy. We keep hearing you need to add all the skills in one person, but in fact that's not going to happen. So I guess the key indicator that our viewers should look at, where am I working? Is this a homogeneous department, or are we now adding new team members?
How do we collaborate?
Exactly, that's the important message, yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for coming to the Esomar TV studio. I'm going to look out and see if there's any students out here to see if I can validate some of the findings that you just told me.
Okay, nice to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that is how it goes with live TV. I just had 3 students lined up to talk to me, but they're all gone. So let's see. I don't even have my cameraman on loose. Otherwise, I could just walk out and find them. Well, let's put. I see some interesting. Finn and Niels, please join me, because this is how it goes, right? We're live. I was supposed to start to talk to some students. We just learned that about the future skill sets of the industry, and we learned about that we're actually looking for people who are better at communicating, who are more analytical. But then we found throughout the days that this is not a new superhuman. We need to start teamworking. You guys have been around a lot of the students, so they come running back. Sorry, missed your slot. What is your experience with young people in the industry?
Oh, it's very good. So they often say from Gen Y they want to be a CEO. Let them think that way. Let them have that aspiration, and let them just work with you. I had the experience that I always worked with guys that were much younger than me, and they exposed me to stuff that I would never expose myself to. And hopefully that goes the other way as well, that they've learned from me. When that stops, I'll stop too. But for me, reverse mentoring is how it's labeled, I think. That's what it's all about. When I stop learning from the younger kids, I'll get out.
So you actually need to get them around you actively?
Yes, as many as you can. Give them the space to move around. And again, if they think they are going to be or want to be a CEO, you just mentioned that you can't study that. But why not have that ambition? And as long as they learn and they make mistakes, they have to make mistakes, that's all good.
Hey, and Finn, by tomorrow you're going to put some students in the spot on stage, right? Yeah, you can take it.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, just to hark back to Niels' point about young CEOs, we're actually going to be talking to a 15-year-old CEO later on today, and I mean it's a hell of a story, I have to say, really a hell of a story. So don't miss that one. Yes, we're going to put the students on stage. We're going to ask them, what they found good, what they found bad. They've been told they can say whatever they like, so that should be an interesting moment.
Shall we try? I mean, they just came running. Guys, come in. This is going to be very spontaneous. Let's stretch the cameraman a bit. Let's see if we can fit 8 people in one shot.
All around the table.
So, first of all, where were you going? No, we should allow them to make mistakes, right? Yeah. But anyway, so you've been here as students in this conference. First of all, quickly to your viewers and to your mom, can you shout out your name and where you're from?
My name's Padraig O'Shea. I'm from Cork and I'm studying in Trinity College Dublin.
My name's Brianna O'Cally and I'm from Dublin and I'm studying Trinity College as well.
All right.
My name is Rosa Zima. I'm from Denmark. I'm 22 years old. So yeah.
So share with us, what is your first impression of this Esomar conference?
Yeah, I think it's...
And no pressure with the guys from the council and the director being here.
Go ahead. You can make mistakes.
He just told us.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's much more than I expected it was. Like here in Ireland, we just study like marketing. We don't really study market research. So to come here and learn about like how much like market research is involved in actual marketing and how it's the backbone of most like businesses and products, it's great.
Okay, and have you been able to go around the sessions? Obviously, some of you have been helping here in the studio as well.
Yeah, we've been able to attend most talks. However, we haven't got the chance to go to workshops, but it's fun and like we've had a great chance to go around networking and meeting all the businesses.
And what is your experience?
Yeah, no, I've had such a good time and I've just learned so much over the last 2 days. I didn't realize how big this industry was until just talking to everyone and learning so much, and it's just been so interesting.
So here's something I learned. Telling us you learned so much is data. Now give us an insight. What is something you learned?
Oh God. Well, I went to the storytelling conference and that was, I think, by far my favorite one, just learning how market researchers research all over the world and like the struggles that they have to face as well just by doing just research. And it was just amazing to see. It was really cool.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, I was to another session where they actually talk about modelization, and I have actually more engineering background, so actually it was so funny to see modelization based in market research. I mean, that was like completely new for me. But also, I mean, I also seen a lot of booths here to talk with people, and I've been here for actually twice, so this is my second time actually. So it's actually a big privilege to be here and actually see again some of the people that I've met last time, especially you. So yeah, I mean, getting inspired and getting new knowledge, that's like great. I mean, that's a fabulous experience.
So as a little leap forward to this afternoon we're doing a session called Switching Roles together with Finn. You guys are holding a microphone anyway. Let's switch a role. If you could ask a question to some of the more senior leadership in this industry, either to Niels Schildewaar, who's also not only on the SMR Council, but you're also one of the founders of Insights, exactly, consulting. Thank you very much. That just blanked out. What would you like to ask? Yeah, you got something?
Like here in Ireland, students don't really know about market research. Like before I heard about Esomar last year from someone who took part, I didn't know anything about it. What can you do to make it, like raise awareness on campuses here in Ireland?
That's a very good question. There's a lot we can do. There's a lot already that we do, but there's a lot more we can do. So initiatives are going on to go out and have talks, take the best of SMR conferences and give that back as case studies so you get inspired. That's one of the big initiatives we do. Guys have, like you, when we have regional conferences, invite people in there. I think there's a lot of work to be done with professors and academics, as one myself before this life. And what I tried to do was, I got in, everybody that you ask, or almost everybody will say they got into research by accident. So did I. I got inspired by a marketing professor who showed me that there's much more you can do with research than I ever imagined, and with statistics. And I had a really bad statistics professor back then, but my research professor was a really good one. And I try to do the same thing, and I think that's something we have maybe overlooked a little bit, is how can we retrain the academic, and how can we reach out to them to make sure they show you, the value of research. And by the way, I want you, all three of you, to at least apply at a market research agency or at a market research position at the client side. So don't forget about that.
All right. Anything to add? This is your opportunity.
Why should students and graduates get into the market research industry? Why?
Who would you like to ask that on?
Whoever.
Pick your favorite. Well, Finn, here you go.
Actually, that's probably the simplest question you could have asked me, which is, it is the most fascinating job, because you're at the heart of every single business problem that every company faces. And it doesn't matter whether you are recruiting new people, whether you're trying to launch a new product, whether you're trying to buy or acquire another company, research lies at the heart of it. It really is the most amazing kind of job, because you do get involved right at the start of all the business issues. It's what got me into this game a long number of years ago. I'm not going to give that number out on air again. It's why I have the grey hair, by the way, too. But it is fascinating, and I fell into it. It was a great friend of mine who convinced me to join a market research company, and I love this profession. That's why I'm here today. I've worked many, many years in market research. It's why I do what I do today, and it's why it's fantastic that I can get a chance to talk to you guys and hopefully convince you guys to join our profession too.
So it's all about changing the world, huh?
Absolutely.
Nice. Have you thought of a question?
Just a small question. It's going to be a very fun question, and both of you can answer it. What is the first don't do thing in market research? I mean, that's... Yes.
The first don't. Never. If you ever get it in, never in market research. Nice question.
Well, I'd say don't assume. Don't assume. Just try something new and then go and talk to somebody about it.
That's a famous saying, right? Assumption is the mother of all... Exactly. Collective wisdom. Well, Niels?
Yeah,
you should never give them fatherly advice. You should never...
Well, I think that you should never withhold of standing up and saying what you have to say and come up with an opinion that you have. Nobody, at least in my company, got fired for bringing up an idea. There's no bad ideas. There's very bad execution. So that can be killed. There's ideas that may not be possible to execute, but if you don't bring it up, if you stand on the sidelines, you're never going to score. There was a famous Dutch soccer player who said, "Om te scoren moet je schieten." So to be able to score, you have to shoot on goal. And so do that. So don't do that. So if you have something to bring forward, do it. Do it in a gentle way, at the right timing, but do it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And with that, the clock strikes even 5 or almost 7 beyond 2. And at 2 o'clock, obviously, the new track is starting in Channel 1. So thank you very much for sticking with us here at the exhibition floor. Thank you very much, Finn and Niels, for stepping in spontaneously with our students. Great questions, guys. Thank you very much. And I invite you all to keep watching on Channel 1 and then be back with us in the next break, because then we're going to flip everything around. And Finn is going to talk to Jordan Casey, who's a very remarkable guest who will be speaking after that. On stage will actually be interviewed by you. So the whole circle is round again. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you back in the next break.